We've pruned our blueberries in late winter, early spring, and now they're starting to set their berries. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be fertilizing with our cottonseed meal. Now you can use berrytone because berrytone is something that I use also, but I prefer the cottonseed meal. I'm going to show you one of these bushes that we put in last year. This is a Hello Darling. She's already about 5 feet tall. Look at those clusters. Now remember, we talked about our early bloomers, our mid bloomers, and our late bloomers. This would be a perfect example of one of our early bloomers. And this is one of the bushes that we put in last year. And then we'll turn over here to our pink lemonade. The Vaccinium mache, with the exception of the pink lemonade, will not cross-pollinate with a Vaccinium coriambosum, which is the northern or the southern high bush. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be fertilizing for our spring. The last time we were out here and they were in bloom, the plant was dormant, but you can see all of this new growth coming on now. And whenever we see that new growth, it's time to fertilize. Now some might say I'm doing a little too much the way I feed my blueberry bushes. And a year later, that's what my bushes look like. It looked like that when we first put it in. Let's do a flashback. I'm going to do something that makes even me squeamish. And we're going halfway up the root ball, and that's giving us about 6 inches. And we're going to just do us a little X at the bottom. And while it's a little abusive right now, they're going to love you for it in the end. Now remember, this plant's been in for less than a year. We're going to go down here, and we're going to see just how far she's been walking. You see all that right here? These are the roots that I'll be telling you about. And this is what your blueberry bush roots look like. Now this plant is in a planter that's 48 inches wide. And in less than a year, this is how far your roots have come. You see those roots there? Just to let you see firsthand what they look like. So this is what your blueberry bush roots look like. You see how fine that is? Pretty much like a hyphae or spider webs. That's why when people were telling me that you could soak the roots to get them to untangle, that doesn't work with the blueberries. So this is the part that I like because everything's starting to come to life. You can see how the changes in all the bushes are starting to happen and why we choose our companion bushes. Some of the bushes with no blooms, some of the bushes are halfway in bloom, and there's another one with no blooms, and here's one that's in full bloom. You see, this is why it's so important to have the correct companion bush to go with your blueberries, because if one of them blooms before the other, you're not going to get the advantage of cross-pollination. Now that's going to be an advantage to you if you have what we call a companion for your blueberry bush. Now we're going to keep this simple as possible. Here we have a gallon pot, and that has some pre-moistened sphagnum peat moss in it. We have another part halfway full, and this is a gallon pot with our mini pine bark nuggets. And then over here, we have another pot halfway filled with our compost. So that means a full 1 gallon pot and a half 1 gallon pot and a half 1 gallon pot. 2 of these make this. So that's 50% sphagnum peat moss, 25% compost, and 25% of our mini pine bark nuggets. And then we're going to take our cottonseed meal and we're going to add 1/4 cup of the cottonseed meal into this mix. But we're going to add it into this barrel here. So we have a 1 gallon container with our peat moss. We're going to mix some of that in first. We're not going to put it all in at the same time. Then we're going to mix in some of our compost. And we're just going to alternate going in. Mix in some of our mini pine bark nuggets. Then we're going to mix in some more of our sphagnum peat moss. Some more of our compost. Some more of our mini pine bark nuggets. And then the balance of our peat moss. And we're going to take a 1/4 cup of our cottonseed meal, and we're going to mix that in. and then thoroughly mix it up. This here is our mix that we're going to be feeding our blueberry bushes. 50% peat moss, 25% mini pine bark nuggets, and 25% of our compost. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to rake, not the entire bed, but just the exterior where our feeder roots are. And we're going to move all that to the inside because that's where we're going to be fertilizing. You see how we only went halfway in? This is all we want right here. This is where our feeder roots are. You can see all that right there. You want to rake it all the way down to when you start seeing your feeder roots. You don't want to scrape too far into the soil. And this is the reason why we do it this way, because all of our blueberry roots are going to be close to the surface. And I'm showing you guys the evidence of this because all of this stuff up top between the leaves and the mulch, as soon as you get down to the soil, all you're seeing down here are your blueberry roots. And this is what I tell you all the time. Your blueberry roots are on the top of the soil. So you don't want to go into the soil when you're doing your mulching. You just want to scrape off the top. And that's where we're going to be adding our fertilizer, up in this area right here. And then we're going to go over here and get our mix. And we're just going to add that in this entire area. That's what you want to do, the same amount for each plant. And I do this twice a year on all my blueberry bushes. And once you got that in, and we're just leveling all of this out, all the way around. You see how that stuff's breaking down real easy? That's why we're adding the compost in. The compost breaks down the organic matter, and that being the cottonseed meal that you're feeding the plant, as well as the leaves. And then we'll just take that and we'll move all of this stuff back over. We're just remulching. So you're not only using the compost and the cottonseed meal or your berry tome, but the leaves are also going to be breaking down and adding nutrients back into your bed. And then what I'll do, I'll go back and I'll even add some more mini pine bark nuggets over the top to get those leaves up under it so the earthworms will come up. And that'll help those leaves break down a little faster. Now that's pretty much it on our spring fertilizer, growing out the box.